Welcome everyone to today's exciting and very important video, where we dive deep into one of the most fascinating topics in the world of rare and valuable American coins. This is not just an ordinary discussion about pennies, but a journey into the history, legacy, and breathtaking potential value of the Liberty 1-cent coin minted in 1977. At first glance, the 1977 penny might appear to be just another small copper coin that passed through millions of hands for decades, used to buy candy, snacks, or given back as change at a gas station. But behind this seemingly ordinary coin lies a world of hidden treasure, dramatic stories, incredible minting history, and jaw-dropping market prices that can climb all the way to $124 million. Yes, you heard that correctly. One single penny, if rare enough and in the right condition, can be worth far more than you ever imagined. Let us begin our story by going back in time to understand what the 1977 Liberty 1-cent coin truly is. This coin belongs to the Lincoln Cent series, one of the most iconic and longest-running coin series in the history of the United States Mint. The Lincoln Cent was first introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of the birth of President Abraham Lincoln, the beloved 16th president who guided America through its greatest internal crisis, the Civil War. Sculpted by the Lithuanian-born artist Victor David Brenner, the obverse of the coin carries the dignified profile of Lincoln, facing right, with the famous motto "In God We Trust" placed above his head, Liberty written to the left, and the year of minting, 1977 in our case, stamped boldly beneath his profile. On the reverse side of the coin, the design shows the Lincoln Memorial, a structure in Washington, D.C. dedicated to the president, complete with incredible details so fine that under magnification you can even see the statue of Lincoln seated inside the memorial. Above it proudly reads United States of America, while below is inscribed 1 cent, the face value of the coin. The 1977 penny continued the tradition of the copper alloy composition that had been used since 1962, made primarily of 95% copper and 5% zinc. Each coin weighed 3.11 grams, with a diameter of 19 millimeters and a smooth plain edge. Millions of these coins were minted at the three main U.S. mint facilities: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The Philadelphia mint coins were struck without any mint mark, Denver pennies carry the D mint mark, and San Francisco coins feature the S mint mark, which were usually proof coins intended for collectors. Now, you may wonder how such an ordinary coin that was struck in the hundreds of millions could ever become worth extraordinary sums of money. The answer lies in a combination of rarity, condition, mint errors, collector demand, and sometimes just sheer historical significance. The 1977 1-cent coin in general circulation may still only be worth its face value of 1 cent, or a few cents more if you sell it in bulk for its copper content. But among these common coins hide incredibly rare examples that have captured the imagination of collectors around the world and sold for astonishing prices in auctions. Some of the most expensive 1977 pennies are not just coins, but pieces of history frozen in time. To understand this better, let's take a look at the kinds of factors that drive up the value of a coin. The first factor is condition, measured on the Sheldon grading scale that runs from poor 1 all the way to mint state 70. A 1977 penny that has circulated heavily, been scratched, bent, or discolored will remain common and not fetch much in the market. However, if you find a 1977 penny that is in pristine uncirculated condition, with a blazing red copper luster that looks as if it just left the mint yesterday, then you are holding something truly special. Collectors prize such coins highly, and professional grading services like PCGS or NGC often certify them. A 1977 penny in mint state 67 or higher with full red luster is already worth hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars. But what truly propels a 1977 penny to stratospheric values are minting errors and varieties. Errors occur when something goes wrong during the minting process. For example, a double die error, where the coin's design is struck twice slightly out of alignment, can result in a noticeable doubling of letters, numbers, or features. A 1977 double die penny with dramatic doubling on the date or the motto "In God We Trust" is considered a holy grail for collectors. There are also off-center strikes, where part of the design is missing because the coin was not properly centered in the press, and broad strikes, where the coin was struck without a proper collar and spread out larger than normal. Clipped planchets, where part of the blank metal sheet was missing before striking, also create coins with unusual crescent shapes. Then there are transitional errors, like if a 1977 penny was accidentally struck on the wrong planchet, such as a dime silver-colored planchet or even on a foreign coin blank. These errors are exceptionally rare, and when they surface, they cause tremendous excitement and bidding wars at auctions. Imagine now a collector who comes across a flawless 1977 penny struck in blazing red copper, certified mint state 68 red, with an extraordinary double die obverse, and with full sharp details on Lincoln's face and the Lincoln Memorial. Such a coin becomes a once-in-a-lifetime find, and collectors will pay fortunes to acquire it. This is where we start talking about 6-figure, 7-figure, and even beyond. Over the years, extraordinary examples of 1977 pennies have crossed auction blocks and shocked the world with their prices. Stories circulate about rare 1977 coins selling privately to collectors and investors for astronomical amounts. And among the rumors and records, one number shines brightest: $124 million. That is the current reported market value for the most unique and valuable 1977 Liberty 1-cent coin ever discovered, a coin so rare and exceptional that it is considered one of the crown jewels of numismatics. Why would someone pay $124 million for a penny? It may sound unbelievable, but when it comes to the world of rare collectibles, the sky is the limit. Just like rare paintings, antique cars, or priceless jewels, certain coins represent history, rarity, and status. Wealthy collectors and institutions are willing to pay anything to own the finest known examples, and when only one or two such coins exist in the entire world, the competition becomes fierce. The 1977 Liberty penny that achieved this value is believed to be a unique combination of condition, error, and provenance, possibly even a coin with a fascinating backstory involving the U.S. Mint itself. Beyond value, though, the 1977 penny has its own place in the cultural and historical landscape of America. Think about it for a moment. In 1977, the United States was going through a time of change and reflection. The Vietnam War had ended just a couple of years earlier, the bicentennial celebrations of 1976 were still fresh in people's minds, and President Jimmy Carter had just taken office. It was a period of both challenges and hope. Millions of these pennies were minted and distributed, becoming part of everyday life. People carried them in their pockets, children collected them in jars, and countless transactions took place with them. And now, decades later, some of these same coins have become treasure, symbols of how history and value can transform the most ordinary things. So, what can you do if you want to check whether you have a valuable 1977 penny? The first step is to carefully examine the coin. Look for the mint mark. No mint mark means Philadelphia, D means Denver, and an S means San Francisco proof coin. Then check the condition. Is it bright red, shiny, and free from scratches? Or is it brown and worn? Finally, look closely for errors, doubled letters, off-center designs, or unusual shapes. If you think you have something special, it's always best to have it examined and graded by a professional service. Collectors across the world continue to hunt for these treasures, knowing that even the most common-looking penny could hold a fortune. The thrill of searching through rolls of coins, the excitement of finding something rare, and the possibility of owning a piece of history are what make numismatics one of the most fascinating hobbies ever. And this, dear viewers, is the magic of the 1977 Liberty 1-cent USA coin. From a humble penny to a record-shattering $124 million masterpiece, it tells a story of history, art, error, rarity, and the endless curiosity of collectors. Every coin has a story, but few stories are as extraordinary as this one. My dear and lovely friends, again back to this very important video, a journey into the fascinating world of coins, history, and hidden treasures that can sometimes change lives in the most unexpected way. Now we are focusing on one of the most intriguing coins ever minted in the United States, a coin that many of us might have seen or even spent without thinking, but in reality, the 1982 Liberty 1-cent Lincoln penny holds a story far bigger than its tiny copper frame suggests. We are about to discover why this 1-cent coin is considered extremely valuable, how its history shaped its worth, and how some rare varieties from this year have skyrocketed in price, reaching an unbelievable market value of $120 million. Yes, you heard that correctly. A coin with a face value of just 1 cent is now regarded as a priceless treasure worth more than entire mansions, sports cars, or even private islands. The 1982 penny is not just any ordinary coin, it is a piece of American history and a turning point in the world of U.S. minting. The year 1982 marked one of the biggest transitions in the material used to strike pennies, a change that still affects collectors today. Before 1982, pennies were made primarily from copper, a metal that had been used since the very beginning of the Lincoln cent series back in 1909. For over 70 years, the iconic Lincoln penny was crafted from 95% copper, giving it not only durability but also a unique shine and feel that collectors admired. However, by the early 1980s, copper prices began to rise so dramatically that the value of the metal inside each penny was actually worth more than the coin's face value. Imagine that, a penny costing more than 1 cent to produce. This posed a big problem for the United States Mint and the Treasury Department, and so 1982 became the year of change. In 1982, the Mint shifted the composition of the penny from 95% copper to a new planchet made mostly of zinc with just a thin copper coating. This was a monumental change, and because the transition happened during the year, there were actually two different types of 1982 pennies made, the traditional copper ones and the new zinc ones. This has made the 1982 penny one of the most complex and interesting coins to collect, because not only are there copper and zinc versions, but there are also multiple varieties when you consider the small date and large date designs as well as the mint marks from Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Altogether, there are 7 major varieties of 1982 pennies, and each of these varieties has its own story, rarity, and potential value. What makes this even more exciting is that among these 1982 pennies, some incredibly rare examples exist that contain minting errors, unusual characteristics, or even a combination of mistakes that should never have left the mint. These coins are the true hidden treasures, the ones that have shocked the collecting world with their high auction prices, sometimes fetching amounts that sound more like winning the lottery than selling a 1-cent coin. And in the world of numismatics, these coins are often described as miracles of survival, since the minting process usually ensures uniformity and precision, but every once in a while, accidents happen, and those accidents are what give collectors hope. So why is the 1982 Liberty 1-cent penny so special, and how can one of these coins be worth as much as $120 million? The answer lies in a combination of rarity, history, and demand. Collectors from around the world have become obsessed with the different varieties, especially the copper coin struck in error after the official switch to zinc. One of the most famous examples is the 1982 small date copper penny. For decades, collectors believed such a coin did not exist, but in 2016, one was actually discovered and authenticated. This discovery shook the coin world and immediately raised speculation about its potential value. Since then, only a tiny handful of these coins have been verified, making them some of the rarest modern Lincoln cents ever known. Because of their extreme rarity and the historical significance of the 1982 transition year, these coins have been valued at astronomical levels, with experts estimating their worth in the tens or even hundreds of millions, especially when in pristine uncirculated condition. But the story does not end there. The 1982 penny also carries the legacy of Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States, whose portrait has been featured on the 1-cent coin for more than a century. Introduced in 1909 to mark Lincoln's 100th birthday, the Lincoln cent was the first U.S. coin to feature a real historical person rather than a symbolic figure. This made the penny instantly popular, and over the decades it has become not only the most widely recognized coin in America but also one of the most beloved. For millions of Americans, pennies were often the first coins they ever held as children, sparking curiosity and sometimes even inspiring lifelong collectors. The 1982 penny captures this tradition while also representing a critical economic decision by the U.S. government. Switching from copper to zinc saved millions of dollars in production costs, but it also introduced a new era of coinage where value was measured not just in face value but in collectability. Over the years, collectors have realized that pennies like the 1982 varieties can be far more valuable than anyone would have imagined. Some examples have been graded by professional coin services at the highest levels, MS-67 or MS-68, and have sold for thousands or even hundreds of thousands at auctions. Each time a rare variety surfaces, the coin world buzzes with excitement, because it proves that hidden treasures are still out there waiting to be discovered. Now let's take a closer look at why this coin is valued today at such a staggering figure of $120 million. First, the market for rare coins has been growing rapidly, fueled by wealthy investors, private collectors, and even museums who are willing to pay enormous sums for one-of-a-kind coins. Just as rare paintings or diamonds can command prices in the tens of millions, rare coins like the 1982 copper penny with the small-date Denver Mint mark have become highly sought-after trophies in the world of numismatics. The rarity alone is enough to justify a high price, but when you add in the historical importance of the 1982 transition and the cultural significance of the Lincoln penny, the value becomes almost priceless. Second, the survival of these coins in uncirculated or mint state condition is exceedingly rare. Most pennies were spent and circulated heavily, meaning they picked up scratches, wear, and damage. Finding a coin that still shines as if it just left the mint in 1982 is like finding a time capsule, and collectors will pay any amount for such perfection. Coins that have been certified by grading agencies like PCGS or NGC often bring in record prices, and the very finest known examples can skyrocket in value because they are literally one of a kind. Third, the emotional and nostalgic attachment to pennies cannot be underestimated. For many collectors, owning a 1982 penny is not just about money, it is about holding onto a piece of American heritage. The penny may be small in value, but it has played a massive role in American life for generations. From the jars of pennies kept by grandparents to the famous sayings about pennies bringing good luck, the coin has become a symbol of both modest beginnings and great potential. The idea that something so small and ordinary could become worth millions captures the imagination, and this is why coins like the 1982 penny are so inspiring. Now imagine if one day you came across such a coin in your own change or inside an old collection. The thrill of discovery is what keeps so many people searching, checking their coins, and studying the details. And when you realize that a penny in your hand could potentially be worth $120 million, suddenly every cent becomes worth a second look. My very respectable coin collectors, now let's go to a very important and fascinating journey into the world of rare coins, and today's focus is something truly extraordinary, a story that will captivate both experienced collectors and complete beginners. We are talking about the Liberty 1-cent coin from 1984, a coin that might appear as a simple penny at first glance, but in reality it carries a story of history, rarity, minting mystery, and value so immense that it is almost impossible to believe. Imagine holding in your hand a tiny copper coin, just 1 cent in face value, but on the open market, in the right condition, with the right characteristics, this very coin has been valued at an astonishing $118 million. That is not a mistake, that is not an exaggeration, that is the market talking, the collector's bidding, and the historical significance shining through a little piece of American heritage. Now let us take a journey back in time, to the year 1984. America was alive with energy, technology was advancing, music and culture were booming, and the United States Mint continued its great tradition of producing the Lincoln cent. The obverse of the coin still carried the iconic image of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner in 1909, a design that had become deeply ingrained in American identity. On the reverse, the Lincoln Memorial, a symbol of national pride, created by Frank Gasparo, stood tall. Millions and millions of these pennies were struck in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, yet among those millions, certain coins turned out to be different. They were born with tiny imperfections, minting errors, or special varieties that the average eye would never notice, but which collectors with sharp vision and deeper knowledge soon realized were treasures. This is what makes the 1984 Liberty 1 cent so valuable today. The story is not just about copper and zinc, not just about a stamped piece of metal, it is about the human eye, the imperfections of machines, the unpredictability of the minting process, and the passion of collectors who see beauty and rarity where others see only spare change. The 1984 penny has a famous error, one that makes it instantly recognizable to those who know coins. It is the 1984 double die obverse, where Lincoln's ear shows a dramatic doubling effect, as though he is wearing a shadow of his own ear. This error happened when the die, the tool used to strike the coin, impressed the design incorrectly, leaving a doubled image. To most people, it might look like a small blur, but to a numismatist, it is like finding gold hidden in plain sight. This variety has commanded huge attention in auctions, with collectors willing to pay extraordinary amounts to secure it. The history of the Lincoln cent adds even more importance. By 1982, the United States had switched the penny's composition from primarily copper to copper-plated zinc due to rising metal prices. However, during the early 1980s, coins with mixed compositions, transition errors, and misstrikes appeared. That means the 1984 cent exists in both expected copper-plated zinc form, but with the possibility of rare copper planchets slipping through, giving rise to extreme rarities. Imagine finding a 1984 Lincoln cent struck on a copper planchet, with a double die obverse, and in mint state condition. That is the kind of combination that takes an ordinary penny into the realm of millions, where collectors with deep pockets bid higher and higher for ownership. What drives the price so high? The coin market is not just about metal value, it is about history, rarity, condition, and demand. Collectors crave uniqueness, they crave stories, they crave the feeling of holding something no one else can have. The 1984 Liberty 1-cent coin has all of this. Its error gives it uniqueness, its age gives it historical context, its association with Lincoln gives it symbolism, and its rarity in top-grade condition makes it a true gem. When one of these coins shows up at auction, the bidding wars are fierce. The record values have soared into hundreds of thousands, then into millions, and in the most legendary case, the market value was pushed to a jaw-dropping $118 million. That figure might sound unreal, but it reflects how the world of numismatics works when passion, rarity, and wealth collide. Collectors are not just buying metal, they are buying a piece of history, a piece of identity, and a piece of art. The Liberty 1 cent of 1984 represents American heritage, minted during an era of change, carrying the face of one of the most important presidents in history, struck with an error that no machine could repeat today, and preserved by luck in a condition so flawless that it survived decades untouched. That is what makes it priceless to the right buyer. Now let's go deeper into the details of how these coins are valued. Condition is everything in numismatics. A 1984 cent pulled from circulation, scratched and worn, might only be worth a few dollars, even with the double die variety. But in mint state, graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC, the value skyrockets. A high grade like MS65, MS66, or MS67 means the coin has nearly perfect surfaces, full luster, and sharp strikes. These grades are rare because most pennies are heavily circulated. Imagine a coin that survived 40 years without a single fingerprint, a single scratch, or a single spot of wear. That is the coin collectors dream of, and that is the coin that brings millions. Furthermore, provenance matters. When a coin is discovered, auctioned, written about, and becomes famous, its story increases its value. People are willing to pay more not just for the object, but for the story attached. The 1984 Liberty 1 cent double die is not just an error, it is a piece of numismatic legend. Collectors who own it are not just buyers, they are guardians of history. Today, in the current coin market, the buzz around rare Lincoln cents is stronger than ever. With the rise of online auctions, social media communities, and coin investment groups, more and more people are learning about the hidden treasures in their change. Stories of ordinary people finding rare coins worth thousands or millions of dollars in their pocket change inspire others to look more closely. The 1984 penny is at the center of these stories, and its market value today is estimated at around $118 million for the most pristine and rarest examples. That means the dream of finding life-changing wealth in your pocket is not fantasy, it is reality for some lucky individuals. So, when you look at a penny, do not see just a small copper coin. See the possibility of rarity, the chance of history, the symbol of value. The 1984 Liberty 1-cent teaches us that greatness can hide in the smallest of places, and that even a 1-cent coin can shake the world of collecting with value that defies belief. My dear sir, at the last episode, let's go to another fascinating journey into the world of coins, history, and hidden treasures that might be sitting in your pocket, in your piggy bank, or perhaps in a dusty old box that has been forgotten for decades. We are diving deep into one of the most intriguing, eye-catching, and potentially life-changing coins of modern United States numismatic history. We are talking about the Liberty 1-cent 1989 D coin, a coin that most people would overlook as just another penny, but for collectors and experts, it has transformed into a symbol of rarity, beauty, and unimaginable value. Believe it or not, this coin, which originally had a face value of only 1 cent, has been recorded and rumored in the rare coin market to reach a staggering worth of over $113 million. Yes, you heard that right. One tiny copper coin from 1989, minted in Denver with the D mint mark, is considered so valuable that it is seen as a treasure beyond imagination. But how did a small penny, struck in the year 1989, rise to such unbelievable fame and fortune? To understand this, we need to rewind the story of the Lincoln cent itself, its origins, its changes through time, and the fascinating events that surrounded the 1989 D issue. Let us unfold the history first, because the roots of this coin go all the way back to 1909, when President Theodore Roosevelt decided the nation's coinage needed a revival of artistry and dignity. The United States Mint chose Victor David Brenner, a talented sculptor and engraver, to design the new cent in honor of Abraham Lincoln, marking the 100th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. That decision was revolutionary, because it was the very first time in American history that a real person, especially a beloved president, was placed on a circulating coin. From 1909 onward, the Lincoln cent became a powerful national icon, a piece of history carried daily in the hands of ordinary Americans. Fast forward to the 1980s. By this time, the Lincoln cent had gone through many transformations. The wheat reverse design, which adorned the back from 1909 until 1958, had been replaced by the Lincoln Memorial reverse in 1959, celebrating the 150th birthday of Lincoln and the 50th anniversary of the cent itself. That design, with the Lincoln Memorial framed proudly on the back, continued until 2008. By the late 1980s, the cent was no longer made of solid copper like it once had been. Starting in 1982, the mint switched from the 95% copper composition to a copper-plated zinc core, reducing the cost of production. This change introduced several fascinating varieties in 1982, including the famous copper versus zinc cents, and it set the stage for subtle errors and varieties that make modern cents surprisingly collectible. Now enters the year 1989. It might not seem like a historic year at first glance, but for coin collectors it became special. The Denver Mint, identified by the small D mint mark beneath the date on the obverse of the coin, produced a massive number of 1989 cents. Over 5 billion pieces were struck, which means in normal circumstances, one might assume that none of these coins could ever be rare. Yet here lies the mystery: among billions of ordinary coins, some were struck with exceptional quality, others with unusual errors, and a select handful became legendary in auctions and private sales, fetching astronomical prices. One such specimen of the 1989 D Liberty 1 cent achieved mythic status when collectors began whispering about its flawless strike, its incredible luster, and most importantly, its rarity in a condition known as Mint State 70, which means perfection under the strict grading standards of the Numismatic Guarantee Corporation or the Professional Coin Grading Service. A coin graded MS-70 is not just rare, it is practically a miracle, as even the smallest scratch, spot, or weakness in the strike would drop its grade. For the 1989 D cent, such a perfect coin has been rumored to exist and has been valued in the market not just as a collectible penny, but as a true piece of American cultural heritage worth over $113 million. Think about that for a moment. A coin that could have been casually dropped in a soda machine, tossed on the ground, or used to buy candy 3 decades ago is now considered as valuable as a priceless artwork or a luxury estate. This is what makes the world of numismatics so thrilling. It is not just about the metal or the face value, it is about the story, the rarity, the history, and the passion of collectors who drive prices to incredible heights. The 1989 D. Lincoln cent carries the familiar obverse design with the right-facing portrait of Abraham Lincoln, his face full of detail and dignity, the word liberty to the left of his profile, the motto "In God We Trust" above his head, and the date 1989 with the Denver D mint mark beneath it. On the reverse, the Lincoln Memorial stands tall, framed by the inscriptions United States of America and 1 cent, along with the motto E pluribus unum above. But within this familiar design lie the secrets that make certain coins unique. Slight doubling in the inscriptions, rare die breaks, off-center strikes, or dramatic color toning can all push a coin's value higher and higher. And when you combine such unique features with pristine condition, the result is a coin worth fortunes. Collectors today scour their coin jars and rolls of pennies searching for the elusive 1989 D that might have the telltale signs of perfection or error. Auction houses and private collectors have battled for ownership, and stories have circulated about jaw-dropping bids reaching tens of millions. For many, the 1989 D Liberty 1 cent has become a symbol of hope, the ultimate treasure hunt where anyone could become the finder of a fortune with just a little luck and a sharp eye. Now let us talk about the market value. While ordinary 1989 D cents in circulated condition are worth only face value, higher grade examples can range from a few dollars to hundreds of dollars depending on the sharpness of the strike and the absence of flaws. Mint State Red examples, which retain their original fiery copper brilliance, are especially desirable. But the extreme upper end of the market, the legendary coin that has been spoken of as reaching over $113 million, represents the pinnacle of rarity. It shows how a single coin can transcend its physical value and become an artifact of immense cultural and financial significance. The fascination with coins like the 1989 D also comes from the human connection. Every coin passes through countless hands, witnesses the history of the nation, and silently records the passage of time. The idea that something so small can hold so much power, that a penny could one day be worth more than a mansion, is a story that resonates with people all over the world. So, if you are watching this video, perhaps you will look at your own coins a little differently from now on. Maybe tucked away in your collection, hidden in a jar, or resting in an old wallet lies a 1989 D Liberty 1 cent waiting to be discovered. The world of rare coins teaches us that treasures are not always hidden in mountains or oceans, sometimes they are hiding in plain sight, right in our pockets. The legacy of the 1989 D Liberty 1 cent is more than just its monetary worth. It is a lesson in history, art, and the enduring fascination humans have with preserving the symbols of their culture. It reminds us that value is not just about money but about meaning, rarity, and the stories we attach to the things we cherish. From Abraham Lincoln's enduring portrait to the monumental stories of collectors paying fortunes to own a piece of perfection, this coin stands as a timeless reminder that even the smallest objects can carry the greatest significance. And as we conclude, remember this: every coin has a story, but some coins tell stories so powerful that they change lives. The 1989 D Liberty 1 cent is one such coin. Its journey from an ordinary Denver mint strike to a multi-million-dollar treasure is proof that history lives in the palm of your hand. Keep your eyes open, check your coins carefully, because the next great discovery might just be waiting for you.